art, wherefore art thou? So I look at the picture and go on to sleep. I couldn't understand it, never could understand it. But by the time I got to Africa, and I looked over there to all them people over there, I said, wait a minute, this is where all men come from. I said, if there's going to be a God, he's got to bear more resemblance to me than what I've been seeing over in the United States. I got so intelligent, I thought, and embarrassed. I hid my Bible under the bed. I was through with it. I said, I'm going to take God, but this Jesus Christ, I'm just through with that there. I ain't going to talk about nothing like that. It's just a joke. And I'd even go to church from time to time. I'd go to any kind of church. I didn't know nothing about no different churches. Generally, to go catch girls, you know. You see that people tell you, man, there be some pretty girls at churches. So I'd go hang around churches to catch a girl. But I didn't really believe in nothing. You know, I'd say my prayers, especially with the time of fight. You get scared and, you know, you want to pray and everything. After Puerto Rico, I went back into my dressing room. After I lost the fight with Jimmy Young, I saw the decision. We congratulated one another, and I went back. After each fight, you have to cool off. You walk back and forward. So as I went back in the dressing room, I walked in, cooling off, you know, back and forward. And you know how this your moment to think when you're cooling off. And I'm thinking just like I normally think. Now, I'm just, you know, always with God, but I didn't come there to get no religion. I didn't come there. I was, you know, I had me a good job with a major television company. I'm secure. Got everything I ever wanted. I'm secure. So here I am walking back and forward, and I'm just thinking, I swear, you got everything you need. You know, you got your homes and everything. You still got money. People still know you. You know, you can always win fights. This is my thoughts, going on in my thoughts, just like everybody think. You know, you might as well just go on home, you know, die. I said, wait a minute. How did that get in there? Die. I said, wait a minute. So I kept thinking, I walking back and forward to start exercising. I said, I ain't worrying about no dying. I said, dying? How'd that get in my conversation? So I started exercising. Then, you know, you realize, wait a minute, I got everything I need. Who cares something about a boxing match? I got everything I need. I can go on home and die. Die. I realized, man, and then the closer, more and more I say, the word death, die, kept sneaking closer and closer together. Finally, it was just die. You gonna die. I said, phew. I said, I ain't gonna die. I don't know. I know I ain't gonna die now. Well, I started doing everything. Push up, set ups, you know. I said, I'm not gonna die in this place. You know, I said, no, I'm not. I just come over here to fight now. I ain't worrying about no fight. You know, you start telling yourself, I don't care nothing about no boxing match. Who cares something about that? You're trying to keep life in your body. And what I realized then, man, life was leaving out of me. Life. And you hear about athletes and everything, you know, go back to a dressing room or locker room and then they have an accident, they die. But you never in your whole life, you believe that this going to happen to you. It's impossible. I said, I ain't hurt. I'm not going to die. I said, I can't say that no more. Kind of talked myself out of this dying. Finally, I heard a voice say, well, you believe in God. Why you scared to die? Write my own thoughts. I said, I still got money and everything. I can give to charities and everything. I'm still George Foreman and everything. This voice said, I don't want your money. I want you. Man, I started crying. Right up then, I started exercising. I said, oh, man, I didn't come over here. I got children I ain't told bye or nothing. I knew that was God, see? I said, I believe in you, God, but not enough before I could say die. Wham! Just like a strike of lightning, man, I was dead, gone, man. I remember, last thing I remember, I said, y'all, I'm finna die. And my foot drew up from me. Just curled up from me, and I was gone, man. I was gone, way off somewhere. And I looked out from this place, and as far off as I could see, all over my head, under my feet, just like the sea. You know, if you ever been out in the sea, as far off as you can see, was just nothing but nothing, man, just water. But this was nothing but darkness, just like a big old dump yard. That was the end of George Foreman. There was no more of me. If you multiply every sad thought you ever had in your life, you wouldn't come close to what I felt, man. Because this was the end. I knew this was something nobody could help me out. I said, this is it. That was death, man. That was death. As far over my head was nothing. It wasn't nothing, no way out, man. There was no way for me to help myself or nobody to help me out. So I'm laying there and I said, I don't care if this is death. I still believe in God. Just real tough like. I was scared, man, sad, but I knew that was the end, so I just said it anyway. When I said that, I was snatched right out.